everybody, it's Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, where we do everything perfectly legal. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and Laquan Jones. Florio, we were discussing before you got here, before the show, what is more illegal?
Oh, no.
Downloading music or faking an address to go to a different school?
I don't think either one of those things should be illegal. But I guess it would be downloading music because you're kind of taking money from people. Like, I plead the fifth. I've never done either one of those things in my life.
I've
done them both.
I've paid for every single piece of music I own.
I never downloaded LimeWire. Never. Ever.
There was a period where people started cracking down on that, and I was like, do I need to be worried? Like, they were going to come after, like, 7th grade me, you know?
Here's the thing. I remember stories of, like, the FBI kicking in college dorm rooms and, like, dragging, sophomores away or something like that. I was like, all right, well.
Should always be the uploaders getting in trouble, not the downloaders.
Yeah.
We're just trying to enjoy
Why punish us?
I'm just trying to download.
Man, I'll download
I'm just trying to download the Chronic and hope it's actually the Chronic by the time I download the whole album.
2 weeks later.
Right, exactly. Anyway, that's not what the show's about. We're going to talk some fantasy football, of course. We have a little bit of Hype Train or Smokescreen. On Monday's show, we actually talked about the Kings Classic Snake Draft that I participated in. We also will talk about the Auction Draft that Florio participated in, some of the picks he made, and some of the values that we saw across the board in that one. But first, as always, want to get started with some news. And Michael F. Florio, it appears that your short regional nightmare is over. James Cook and the Buffalo Bills have agreed to terms on a 4-year, $48 million contract. I think we all sort of knew that it was going to end up that the two sides would come to an agreement at some point. It was just a matter of how long it was going to take, and thankfully it didn't really take all that long. Right now, James Cook, kind of a third-round pick. Laquan and I were saying earlier, it feels kind of like everybody kind of felt like this was going to have a happy ending, and so that's where the ADP is. But now that he's officially signed, would you be willing to bump him up your draft board at all?
So I have him ranked right about around where he is going. I could see like pushing him ahead of like maybe Breece Hall, who is all reports are that he's splitting a lot of work, and we did see that in the preseason, but it's hard for me to push him up too much higher than that because I think I haven't ranked him like, oh no, he's not going to be there. I've ranked him as like, this is all systems go, because from the start, it just made too much sense. There wasn't a situation where the Bills are better without James Cook. There wasn't a situation out there better for James Cook than staying with the Bills. So I have kind of ranked him as if this was going to happen. And yeah, I know last year he finished higher than where he ranked, but right around RB 12, 13, that feels about right for me.
So one of the things I think about James Cook, part of the reason he's in the third round, Laquan, is that he has never really been a 3-down back. It sounds like the Bills are trying to sell us on this idea that he's going to be a 3-down back. Are you buying any of that?
Hey, let's keep it a bean. I might be buying that. I mean, I do think that they're looking at him as, hey, we paid you the bag. We're going to treat you as such. But I think they're honestly looking at what Joe Brady has been able to do with James Cook. And since he's taken over, James Cook, we have seen the best version of him. We've seen him get plenty of opportunities in the goal line area and be able to succeed in the red zone, to be able to have those 16 touchdowns. I do think that, I'm buying a little bit of it because, again, they've rewarded him the bag. He feels as though he could be a 3-down back. And if you got the GM keeping the bean, he's going to be able to go out there and put up RB1 numbers for me.
You see, because the GM is named Brandon Bean.
Yeah, you see, keeping the bean. You like that. A little East Coast flavor for you.
We're just weaving things together here on this show. That's what we do. Look, I haven't drafted a ton of James Cook. I've drafted a little bit just because the Bills have told us that they don't like him as a 3-down back. The Bills have told us they kind of want to work guys in. So I think there's value there on a team that's going to score a lot of points, that's going to win a lot of games, and he's going to be a big part of that. But I just haven't found myself particularly, I'm not reaching for him. If he falls to me, in the natural course of the draft, then I'm willing to kind of take the shot at it, but I'm not like going out trying to target him.
There was a point this summer where he was like going in the 4th round pretty consistently, and I was like, all right, I'm going to keep taking him there. But Yeah, I think we saw in the playoffs that James Cook can be a workhorse, but when you have Ty Johnson and Ray Davis there, you don't need to make him that. And Bean said that today. He was like, we think he is a 3-down back, but we don't have to use him as that, and we could keep him fresh.
Yeah, I always just think it's important to sort of listen to what the team is telling us, not just with their words, but also with their actions and how they use a guy. And everything about James Cook's career with the Bills says they just don't want to use him in that role. And I think we should adjust accordingly. In Green Bay, a little bit of issues here. Jordan Love expected to undergo a procedure on his left thumb. That is not his throwing hand, but he is not expected to miss week 1. In fact, there's a talk that he may be back next week for preseason games or preseason workouts. So that seems very, very minimal. A little bit more of a concern. Christian Watson dealing with a knee issue, likely to begin the season on the PUP list, which means the Packers are right now down to 17 healthy wide receivers on their roster.
Only 17.
Well, that's it, only 17. He's trying to figure out which one is going to catch the ball in any given week. So with the quarterback kind of banged up, one of the wide receivers are down. It's a wide receiver room that I think we're all generally avoiding just because there are so many guys and they spread the ball around. Laquan, you are higher on Josh Jacobs than most people, I think, across this industry. So does this mean Josh Jacobs officially rockets to the moon in like the first 4 weeks or so of the season?
I think it's already wheels up for him, but absolutely, when you got all the wide receivers banged up right now, I mean, you've seen the video of Jaden Reed doing push-ups in a walking boot. I mean, like, this guy's committed to prove that he is the big dog of the room, but at the end of the day, all these guys stay banged up. But looking at Josh Jacobs last year, I get that he's not the sexy pick right now, and he's going outside the top 10, but this guy had 1,600 yards. He had 16 touchdowns, and we're looking at a guy that showed he could be an explosive back still. There is no signs of declining in his yards per carry. And any of the situation that you look at in the backfield, there is really nobody back there able to take these touches away from him. And look, only 5 running backs last season were responsible for 40% of their team touches. Josh Jacobs is one of them. This is a group among Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and Kyron Williams. So again, him going outside the top 10 running backs right now, I'm a little confused.
What was that last name you said?
LOL, Kyron Williams. Yes, Kyron Williams was part of that 40%, ladies and gentlemen. But I do not think that's going to be true this season, though.
I just love getting him to talk bad about his own player. On his own
I'll take Kyron over Josh personally.
Yeah, I mean,
what? That's crazy. That's crazy talk, man.
So you said you had a theory, by the way, Florio, of why it is that people just aren't in on Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, so me and a buddy of ours, of mine that I share a team with, we're getting ready for a draft, and we have the number 1 pick, so we're like, all right, we're taking Jamar Chase, and we were talking about grabbing a running back on the 2-3 turn and who could realistically be there. And Josh Jacobs it was like Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, and we were like, Josh Jacobs probably goes last of that bunch for us because he's not sexy at all. Like, and even last year, 15 rushing touchdowns, a career high. He's the RB8 in fantasy points per game. I think that is the difference to me. Like, Josh Jacobs' floor might be one of the safest at the running back position, but the ceiling is not all that much higher. Like, I think all of those running backs in that range bring a bit of a higher ceiling. Like Jonathan Taylor, we've seen finish as the RB1 before. Bucky Irving was really great last year as a rookie. We've seen Kyron Williams do it at a very high level. He was the RB2 in points per game just a couple years ago. So I think that is the difference. But I am willing to, because I feel like I have a personal bias towards Josh Jacobs, and I'm always like kind of lower on him than most. So I was thinking last night, I was like, is this a me problem? Like, and I came in and I said it before. I was like, I am willing to change my tune on Josh Jacobs, but I just keep going back to that. He's just not very exciting.
So would it change your mind at all if I reminded you that Josh Jacobs was the RB1 in 2022 with the Raiders when he had 1,600 rushing yards and was it
well, he's the RB3 in per game that year.
Okay. But he had
yes, that
1,600 yards and 12 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. To me, I always look back at that year as the outlier. But last year he did it, so
Yeah, and the Packers are a top 5 rushing offense, and I get that it might have been an outlier that they ran the ball that much, but if it ain't broke, why fix it? I mean, Josh Jacobs has been one of the safest floor running backs, like you mentioned, Florio. But guys like Bucky Irvin that are going round before him, again, Bucky Irvin's ceiling maybe Josh Jacobs' floor. Let's be honest. Like, I do think that the Bucks want to get Bucky the ball more, but does Bucky really handle that full workload healthy for 17 games? And obviously, they like Sean Tucker. He's getting all the praise. And Owen Wright, he looked good in the preseason, man. That could be competition there for Sean Tucker, but I do think that they have guys in that room that can handle the workload along with Bucky Irvin. So I'm going to go with the not sexy pick in Josh Jacobs, the workhorse in a top 5 rushing offense.
Yeah. Everything you say is right. And somehow I do still feel like with Florio, I look at Josh Jacobs and I'm kind of like, I mean, look, everything you say is 100% correct, right? Like I can't refute any of it, but I see Josh Jacobs on the board. I'm kind of like, what else is out there? You know,
like the other, like he could be better than Bucky, but you're going to have way more fun with Bucky, you know? Like Josh Jacobs is your friend that like, you play video games, you know you're going to have a good time. But then there's other people you're like, I can go out and you know, do crazy things.
Bucky's like, you know, we might go to jail, but it's going to be a hell of a night.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. That's terrible. That's terrible.
It really is terrible. But, you know, I mean, we know how people operate for sure. All right. Brandon Aiyuk, the 49ers are hoping that he will be ready to go by week 6 of the regular season. He's still dealing with the effects of a knee injury. I found it interesting, Florio, because I looked at Fantasy Pros ADP, and Brandon Aiyuk, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings were all ranked back to back to back in terms of the wide receiver position, one after the other. Which one would you prefer at this point? And they're all by you. They're all in the wide receiver, like 44, 45, 46, something around there.
I think they're all. I think Aiyuk, you should get. There should be a gap between Aiyuk and the other two,
just because he's gonna miss 6 weeks.
Yeah, like the other two are there to start. Although I do have a lot of Aiyuk in my early drafts right now, like the drafts I've done already. I just keep taking him as a backup wide receiver and hoping that he can propel me in the second half. I think Juwan Jennings should be the first one to go, because we've seen he has the rapport with Brock Purdy. I think he is the combination of floor and there's still upside there. The other two to me are upside picks. Like I like Ricky Pearsall a lot. And again, I think all of these guys are value because Brock Purdy has shown us that he could be consistently good year over year. Kyle Shanahan runs one of the highest EPA offenses in the league. Like, I want pieces of the 49ers, and if you're going to let me get them at wide receiver 4 costs, I'll do it all day. But I do think it should be how it was like earlier in the summer, where it was like Jennings, then a slight little gap, then Pearsall, then a slight gap, and then Aiyuk.
So I'm with you. I've drafted a lot of Aiyuk, but again, as like a 4th receiver, with the hope being if he comes back healthy and productive, then suddenly it's like, oh, I feel like I got 2 or 3 wide receiver 1s potentially on this roster, if that's how it turns out. And, you know, if it doesn't work out that way, well, I didn't spend a whole lot in the draft to get the guy, so it's not as big of a deal. Laquan, last year, Ricky Pearsall finished the season pretty strong, averaged about 14.5 PPR points per game, I think, over the last month or so of the season. I get it. It was a small sample size on a team that was struggling, that had a ton of injuries last year, and so he kind of got his chance, his opportunity. Are you sort of buying into that? Is there something there with Ricky Pearsall, or was it just him taking advantage of a situation?
I've kind of changed my tune this whole offseason and like buying the dip on some of these wide receivers for the 49ers, but they're constantly strapped to injury. Like it's always something, you know. Brandon Aiyuk coming back maybe week 6, Ricky Pearsall dealing with a hamstring. Now you got a calf injury with Juwan Jennings. Like I'm almost to the point now with my late drafts coming up in August, like I kind of don't want any of them. Like I only want George Kittle. And like I feel like he is such a great value where he's going in tight ends in terms of you're not paying that premium price in the second round for McBride or Brocker. So like there's really only 3 things that I really want from this 49ers offense. And it's like I'm looking at George Kittle as a value, and the other 2 things are pain and suffering when the Rams, you know, end up getting a ring this year in their home. So that's the only thing I want involved with the 49ers this season.
Anyway,
I'll say this. We're going to talk about my auction draft from the weekend later, but I got both Jennings and Aiyuk For a combined $16, Ricky Pearsall went for 20.
Ooh.
What?
Ricky
Wait,
Pearsall,
where's the
though,
hype coming from?
Ricky Pearsall, no, but there's a lot of hype about Ricky
And I
Pearsall.
get it. He's a chess piece that Shanahan can move all over the field. But, like, you know better than anyone. Who do you think is going to lead them in targets?
Oh, I think
That's a good question.
a healthy Juwan Jennings leads them in targets. And like to your point though, Laquan, right now dealing with a calf injury, I do think it's funny because he made the request for a new contract or whatever, and then he started missing time, and everybody's like, "Oh, is he holding out?" And Kyle Shannon's like, "No, for real. Like he really actually is hurt right now. Like, no, this is not a contract thing. This is not him holding out. Like he really has a calf injury, and so they're dealing with that." I think when healthy, I think he does lead this team in targets. I think the hype about Ricky Pearsall is a combination of, one, what he did at the end of last year, but two, recognizing that part of the reason he was drafted was because the organization realized at some point they were going to have to make a decision between Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel. Obviously, it's Samuel that's not there. But the idea being, well, this opens up a spot for him to get on the field more. And now he's going to potentially work out of the slot, do maybe some of the, I won't say all of the things, but some of the things that Deebo Samuel could do. And I think that's where the excitement is coming from.
But where does Ricky Pearsall fit in this hype, though? Like, where does he fit in that target order? Like, it's Juwan Jennings, Brandon Aiyuk, George Kittle, CMC. And then it's like Ricky Pearsall in the mix of that? Like, do we really want to strap ourselves to that? I get that the talent's there, the smooth operator, the great route runner. I mean, the one-handed catch that he had that goes on and on with his college highlights. But I just feel like I'm a little standoffish where it's a dangerous game. Like his ADP is going where Roma Dunze is going, where I'd rather have him. I mean, the OG of the satchel discontent.
I will say
Chris
that
Olave.
I would say that is kind of spicy, right? If he's going in the same area as Roma Dunze, I think that's definitely spicy. But I also think this idea of him maybe having a 6-week runway with Aiyuk not there to sort of get up and running again, and then it becomes an issue of, okay, well, now you got guys who are going to get targeted. The other part of this is, and I love George Kittle. I've drafted George Kittle. There are going to be weeks when the Niners want to run the ball a lot, and then George Kittle becomes a de facto sixth lineman for that team, right? Because we have those weeks where he gets 3 targets because they're just going to give the ball to McCaffrey or whomever 30 times, and they're going to ask George Kittle just be a blocker.
I like the whoever.
Because you just know, right? You know.
I will say,
Patrick
I think
Taylor,
I'm the low
let's
guy
go.
on George Kittle. Like, I have concerns about George Kittle. Like, it's nothing to do with Kittle himself. It's the fact that last year everyone was hurt, and it kind of propelled him to have a season that he's only had one time before, like 6 years ago.
Yeah,
well, the good thing is everybody's hurt now. So,
but not CMC.
Here we
And
are.
I think CMC being out is what really propelled Kittle, because all those catch and run quick targets that usually go to him, where Kittle's the lead blocker on those, they were now going to Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, I think George Kittle has always been the week-to-week consistency. I think has ever really
I don't like
been
that
there
either.
for Kittle. I mean, that's always just been the case, right? It's just that he'll have those weeks where he'll score 3 touchdowns, and then he'll have the weeks where he has 3 targets, right? And it's just sort of hard to figure. It's one of those things where you look at the overall number, you're like, oh yeah, he was the tight end 3. But you may have forgotten, or maybe you didn't have him, so you didn't experience the week-to-week anxiety over
He'll
which
have
George
like
Kittle.
3 games where he puts up 25, and then like 4 where he puts up like 7.
Right.
And it's like,
I do think if you're drafting Kittle, you're most likely going to take a tight end 2 in your draft. And that's just an insurance policy there, because again, Kittle has his banged up weeks, that he's playing through, or the times where he's not available because of injury. So I think the value where he's at right now is perfectly priced. Because again, I don't want to pay the premium for a Brockers or McBride. So I definitely think you're kind of strapped to getting a tight end 2 in that area, like mid to late round, to have that insurance policy for those certain weeks.
I just came up with an idea for us to do on a segment. Put together the all Dochi team, the guys that give you anxiety.
I like it. Do the breathing
Let's do it.
exercises.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to do that on a show at least sometime in the near future. All right, time for a little bit of preseason hype train or smokescreen. I scoured the interwebs for minutes at a time to come up with some headlines that may or may not actually come to fruition here. So the first one. DJ Moore says he is open to what he's calling daunting task of lining up at running back, saying that Ben Johnson's trying to do different things, move him around, and that he is lining up occasionally at running back. Now, I will also freely admit that a lot of what he's doing at running back is just running routes. They're not asking him to take handoffs. Maybe they will occasionally. Florio, is this really going to be a thing? Hype train or Smokescreen on DJ Moore being like a not useful, but consistently used piece at running back?
That's a Smokescreen. I think we could see it occasionally. I don't think it'll be a consistent thing, but what I think we could see from DJ Moore is him utilized all over the field. Like, I think we could see him play the X, the Y, in the slot. Like, he is that good where he could win from anywhere. And you have Roma Dunze, who's more a traditional X receiver out wide. Luther Burden, more traditional out of the slot. But, like, he is that chess piece. And the Bears are one of the teams that I'm most going after this year. Like, I have DJ Moore ranked. I believe I have him as my wide receiver 13 or 14. Yet ADP, he's going like 23, 24. I'm a little bit higher on Odunze than consensus, DeAndre Swift. So, like, yeah, maybe it feels dirty a little bit because the Bears have never been a good passing attack ever in the history of life. But, like, I think Ben Johnson changes things a lot this year.
I think he changes things a lot, too. I mean, I've gone on record saying that this is the year they finally get a 4,000-yard passer, that Caleb Williams is going to finally break that curse. I have been very big on Roma Dunze. I haven't drafted a lot of DJ Moore. It hasn't necessarily been a purposeful like avoidance thing. I just haven't necessarily drafted him, but I have been in a spot to get Odunze a lot. I'm very excited about him. I mean, Laquan, when we hear stuff like this, like it feels like wide receiver moving to running back is the new version of the running back who's going to line up out
in the
wide,
slot,
right? Like
that's exactly what I was thinking. Like that is the Batman smoke screen right there, right in your face. And like I think we'll probably see it like once or twice this season where he catches runs a route out of the backfield and kind of catches it very running back like, or him getting a handoff. Like, I don't think it will be at a high rate enough for us to be like super excited about this news, but I am going to mirror what, Florio said. It's just basically like he's going to be used everywhere, the versatility he brings, and he's one of the best after the catch as well. So it's like, I'm looking at DJ Moore as my wide receiver 12 in my rankings, that I am very high on him to be one of those guys that we have in the conversations of the DK Metcalfs and the Nico Collins and Drake Londons. And like, I do feel like, he gets looked at as a wide receiver 2, but I think this is a wide receiver 1 season for him.
I mean, I think that could definitely be the case too, right? If the offense goes the way we expect it to go. I think the other part of this is the like 120 some odd targets or whatever it was that Keenan Allen vacated. I mean, obviously they're not going to all go to one person, but you got to believe DJ Moore is going to get a few extra. Roma Dunze may get a few extra. Like Luther Burden will certainly get his, but I would like to think that the top 2 receivers who have already been there are going to be the ones to split. And
people forget that Caleb distributed the ball like evenly amongst the 3 wide receivers. All 3 of them had 100+ targets. So I definitely think it's possible, we can get a little bit more versatility at DJ Moore to be manufactured touches. So I'm all on board of that. Like, I don't know what people are doing, man. They're sleeping on DJ Moore this season.
To Laquan's point, I know it's going to be different with Ben Johnson, but last year, not only did they distribute the ball well, like, it was kind of clear cut, like in the red zone. Okay, Roma Dunze, that is where you're going to shine. More of a downfield guy or like yak guy, that's where DJ Moore was going to come in. So like, I trust Ben Johnson because they're very different skill sets. I trust Ben Johnson to put each player in the best. Like, he's not going to force a player to do something that he wants him to do. He's going to scheme up what's the best case scenario for that player.
Every year, there's a coach that you hear reports like, hey, this coach is working to his players' strengths. And I'm like, yeah, man.
That's what a good coach does.
That's how it should work, right? I mean, and I guess
what was happening before?
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't happening like that before. I mean, it was just sort of like, okay, you're coming into our system. You're coming into our office. We want you to fit what we do. And, I mean, sometimes it would work because if you scouted well and you recruit, and you drafted well, you could get guys to fit your system. But more often than not, why not build around what your guys do well? Like, we treat it as revolutionary when it's just like,
if you're like Sean Payton, you have earned the right to be like, I want you guys who fit my system. But if you're a first-time head coach, get out of here with that.
If you're Nathaniel Hackett, maybe work around your guys a little bit more.
He's been catching strays lately, man.
4 years now.
Side note to that, and we might have said this at the time on this show, that like when all the other coaches were upset about Sean Payton throwing Nathaniel Hackett under the bus, nobody said he was wrong.
Yes.
Everybody was just like, hey man, like don't say it out loud.
It's like that's not. We don't say that to the media, but no one was like, nah, man, he's a really good head coach.
Like, nobody actually stood up for him.
Nobody defended it.
Nobody actually defended it. They're just like, hey man, like just don't say that out loud. You know, something like that. Travis Kelce admits that acting and being an entertainer impacted his NFL performance. We could sort of watch Travis Kelce last year and realize that he wasn't the same player he had been a few years previous to that. Yes.
When did he say this?
He said this a couple days ago on his pod.
And then released a whole photo shoot looking like Razor Ramon? Maybe be consistent with your messaging. I'm just saying.
I will give him a little bit of a pass, figuring that the photo shoot happened like a while ago.
Probably.
But
I just gotta throw digs.
But
on
the timing's not great.
Yeah,
timing's not great.
Also, you're still married to or engaged? Are they engaged?
Are they engaged? I don't know. Dating
something
together,
with Taylor
connected
Swift,
to.
Like, there's no world where he could just shut that part of his life out. You know,
Right.
and I'm not
No
saying
way.
he should, but like.
I mean, so I'm going to ask you, Laquan. I mean, hype trainer Smokescreen, that this was because seriously, even as down of a year as it was for him, he was still the tight end 5. You know,
Yeah.
So hype trainer Smokescreen look, he was on the Eras tour. He's got the podcast with his brother. He's dating a billionaire pop star, maybe the most famous.
The NFL built the schedule around her schedule.
Yes, I mean, like literally, maybe the most famous
Crazy.
woman in the world right now, right? So are you throwing the BS flag on this, or is there something to it?
Nah, hype train, man. I think this is the Michael Jackson, this is it tour for him. So I think he wants to go off on a good note. And again, where he's going in drafts, you're not paying that premium price you used to in the past. So I'm not exactly fading him. Like if he falls to me in that 7th, 8th round where he's been going, come on aboard, man. If you're going to take accountability and recognize your distractions of off field, now you want to lock in and leave the NFL and retire on a good note. I'm buying in because I'm not paying that premium price we used to in the past. Like we remember that Travis Kelce was going in the back end of the first round at one point. I mean, that's a little expensive for a tight end. I'm here complaining about McBride and Bowers going in the 2nd round right now. So I'm buying in. Like Travis Kelce, man, do what you want, man. The distraction off field, I don't care. You're cheap right now in drafts, and I'm not going to complain.
All right, how are you feeling about that?
The exact opposite. I've done a ton of drafts. I've never once drafted Travis Kelce because I say it a lot. The age cliff, it happens quick at the NFL level. He's going to be 36 years old this year. Coming off of not 1, but 2 years of declining in a row. And I think what propelled him to that tight end finish last year was circumstances. Everyone around him was hurt. There was no Marquise Brown. There was no Rashee Rice. There was no Isaiah Pacheco. Xavier Worthy was a rookie. It led to him having 133 targets. If those other guys are healthy around him, I don't think he gets. Plus, even with that, it wasn't like a consistent week-to-week thing. He had maybe 3 or 4 really good fantasy weeks. Every other week was more of a floor week. And I think the Chiefs, like they always do, they care about the playoffs. They want Travis Kelce to be healthy and be fresh for the playoffs. I think that was their plan last year. Remember, he came off to such a slow start when those other guys were healthy. And then once it all kind of broke down, everything changed on the fly. But I don't want to have invest in someone who I know needs this many volume to get 800 yards.
Maybe in his mind, the acting and the world tours or whatever impacted his NFL performance. I think what impacted his NFL performance more is just father time. I mean, just age. He just looked a step or two slower than what we were used to seeing. Travis Kelce at his peak, I don't know if you've ever paid attention to like when he catches a pass in the middle of the field and turns around.
Yes.
He turns around like there's a Scooby-Doo villain behind him, right? Like he's just like, you're expecting to do, like when he turns around, like that's what I hear in my head. That was in the best of times with Travis Kelce. Now, as you mentioned, he's 36 years old. He's played a ton of games. He's taken some wear and tear. Because I think it can't be discounted that during this run for the Chiefs, going to AFC championship games, going to Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls, the Chiefs have probably played almost a full season more of games than just about everybody else.
I mean, think about it. They're playing 3-4 playoff games a year.
A year, right? So they have literally played almost a full season of games more than just about everybody else in the league. I don't care who you are, that catches up with you at some point. And so, I mean, maybe he wasn't fully focused on football. I get that. When your girlfriend is a billionaire and flying you all around the world and you're eating at the best restaurants and you're staying at the nicest hotels, like, yeah, I get it. You know, like, I ain't mad at it, man. We all wish we could live that life to some extent.
Fact.
But I think the thing that has impacted him more than anything is he's just getting older and he's just slowing down, and it happens to everybody.
And I don't want to sound like I'm taking shots at it, but like, he's still podcasting. He's still going to be going to tour with Taylor Swift. She has a new album coming out, right? Like, by the way, I'm sure that's not going to take any of his time.
I saw a post on Blue Sky. It was her with the headset on. They're like, Taylor Swift is doing a podcast. And a whole lot of folks that I don't do podcasts are like, big deal, so am I.
I think her listeners might beat ours by just a little bit.
Sure.
Like if somebody will be in your DMs,
Swifties at all. Please don't come for me.
No, I was going to say, like, you know,
he copped the pleat early.
If somebody talks trash about us on the internet, we're not going to have a whole bunch of people like flooding and mention bombing those people. They'll be like, well, yeah, no, those
my
probably
wife's
are
on
idiots.
Twitter now.
Exactly.
My wife's been fighting a couple battles for me, so I think I got one of the troops ready to go.
You got internet shooters. All right, cool. D'Amico Ryan says John Metchie showed up along a tight competition at wide receiver. Look, John Metchie's story has been, kind of a frustrating, interesting one. Obviously had to miss years because of health issues, has kind of really battled back, but has never really had an opportunity to be a part of the offense here. Florio, I know we have our own questions about the Houston Texans wide receivers. Do you have any real belief that John Metchie can be a fantasy relevant guy this year?
I think he could be relevant for the Texans and a great story and a fan favorite and all of that. I don't think for fantasy, at least initially, because Nico Collins is your unquestioned one. I think Christian Kirk is your 2, and that's going to be your 2 wide receiver sets. And then in 3 wide receiver sets, there's Jaden Higgins, there's Jalen Noel. It's just very crowded. And I said this on Fantasy Live today, like even for like Higgins and Noel, I think it takes an injury for those guys to become weekly starters. Like they'll have some weeks where they pop. Higgins will catch a touchdown or 2, something like that. You could plug him in a pinch. But I think to get enough consistent volume where you're like, this guy's an every week starter for me, one of those top 2 guys need to go down.
Yeah, I don't know, Laquan. It just doesn't feel like there's enough volume. There's not enough snaps, I think, in this offense for John Metchie.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think right now he's putting great things on film. Like he's putting great things on tape to be auditioning for another team because the room is very crowded. Like it's hard to see him being anywhere near fantasy relevant with this crowded room, the talent that they have, and then even the cycle of when, he was dealing with his difficult times in his rookie year and then coming back. The Texans have drafted, wide receivers since then. So it's like it's always been a constant crowded room. So I think he may be auditioning, for another home. And again, he might land somewhere where he might have an opportunity to show up and show out because he's a very, very good player. And like the stuff that he's doing in preseason right now, it's really impressive. Creating separation, making the big time catches. Like this is everything that we liked him coming out of college. So it's like, I do think if he finds another place, then we can revisit this conversation.
Yeah, I think so. And look, rooting for him to find some success somewhere. Missed that rookie season battling leukemia. Has been able to get back on the field, but it doesn't feel like there's room in Houston for him, despite whatever. Look, I know D'Amico Ryan's probably cheering for him, but I think the reality is that the numbers game is just not.
He's a player's coach. He's supposed to.
So the Kings Classic over the weekend, happening in Canton, Ohio, as part of the Fantasy Football Expo. We talked on Monday about my team in the snake draft. Florio, you wanted to get in the league. I was like, hey, we do 2 drafts. Maybe you can take one of mine. You volunteered for the auction.
I was excited for this one.
I was like, you were like, hey, can I do the auction? I was like, say less, man.
Yeah. How long was that draft? Jeez.
How long did it take you guys to draft that team?
We were done way faster than because there's two at the same time.
Yes.
They started at the same time as us, and I was done, and I went, and some people had like 7 roster spots left to fill, and I was just like, I was done. We kicked off at 1.
Mm-hmm.
I was done by 3:30.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, like
That's not bad at all.
I was preparing for it to go to like 6 o'clock at night with the way people were telling me.
Yeah, I say having done that draft in the past, about 3, maybe 3.5 hours is kind of what it would take. So for you to get done in 2.5, that's excellent. I did come in the room early-ish in, and well, at first I think I came in the room and you just had one player. You
had Bajan.
You had Bajan, which you got for $51. I left. I kind of wandered, talked to some people, came back, and it was very much. You had Bajan, you had Tyler Warren, you had AJ Brown, you had Justin Fields. And I'm like, yeah, this is totally your squad.
So the funny thing was, I didn't really plan on going after Bajan, but Jamar Chase went for 60. And then Bajan is sitting there at 50, and I was like, you know what? I'll take a $9 discount. And I was like, if he goes up further, and then I got him, and I was just sitting there for a while. And at one point, Bob Lung was like, you have to spend money, right? And then it was like, I nominated AJ Brown, got him, and then Travion, Fields, and Warren all got nominated, like boom, boom, boom. And then Bob was like, maybe I shouldn't have woke him up. He's buying everyone now.
So you look at the roster, your roster, Bajan Robinson, Tyler Warren, AJ Brown. Let's look at your quarterbacks first of all. Justin Fields, Jared Goff are your quarterbacks. At running back, Bajan Robinson, Travion Henderson, Jarquez Hunter, Isaiah Pacheco, Jadon Blue, Elijah Mitchell. There's definitely some Laquan influence, I think, in here as well.
The Jarquez Hunter pick was for you, Laquan.
Jarquez Hunter. I know in the past, LQ, you've been an Elijah Mitchell guy. I don't know if you still are, but I know in the past you have been.
That was my Pacheco handcuff.
Okay. That makes sense.
Smart, yeah.
Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Juwan Jennings, Brandon Aiyuk, Joshua Palmer, Dante Thornton, and Deontay Johnson. I mean, definitely the A.J. Brown, the Ridley, the Deontay Johnson. That's heavy. Palmer. That's heavy, Florio.
I do wish that Ridley was my 3 and not my 2, but in a 14-team league, like, I kept getting just the players I thought I would get were going for way more than I thought they would go for.
Yeah, and then your one tight end is Tyler Warren. And I'm trying to look. So, I mean, I feel like you got some pretty good values. The one thing that I noticed, and you talked about this after the draft, the quarterback values, generally speaking, were very depressed.
Yeah. When I bought Justin Fields, when I won Justin Fields, I should say, he was, so Bo Nix, look, Mauricio from NFL Mexico snuck in Bo Nix.
Bo Nix for $2.
He threw that out there. He said, Bo Nix, $2, and no one bid. So he got
Nobody's
him.
a Bo lever.
But then it went it was Lamar for 26, Josh Allen for 24, and Jaden Daniels for 20. And then I got Fields for 7. And I'm like, okay, the back, like, that's going to be a good value. And then the only other quarterbacks that win more for him were Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow for 14 each, which I think is an insane price.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes goes for 5. Baker Mayfield, I see, is at 3. Where else? Stafford went for 2.
Kyler went for 4. Caleb for 4. Like, it was much less than I expected. I still love Justin Fields, but I was like, I wish I got it. And at one point, it was like, I was at $4 for him, and it was like once, twice, and then someone was like 5, and then 6, and I was like, come on, you couldn't have just let me have him. I'm getting him either way. It's just a matter of for how much.
I mean, I looked because you spent $7 on Justin Fields, and Nate Markham from Fantasy and Frames spent 6 on 3 quarterbacks combined.
Yeah.
You got
That's what I was looking at too.
Dak Prescott for 4, Anthony Richardson, and Justin Herbert for $1. Justin Herbert for $1, man. Like,
yeah, I don't.
Nate did work.
Nate did turn to me and was like, I wish I went to 8 on Fields, but yeah, no, he got fantastic value there. And I liked getting Goff because I like pairing a safe quarterback with someone like Fields because Fields is all upside. Jared Goff, I think, is going to be one of my more drafted quarterbacks this year because You're getting him at a 2. I know a lot has changed in Detroit, but that still feels like his floor.
Yeah. I'm
Brock
looking at
Purdy $1 of value as well.
What's
That's
that?
that same floor. Brock Purdy at $1.
Yeah,
from Matt.
Brock Purdy at $1 is interesting. I'm also looking. I look at Ian Hartitz's roster, where 22 for Travis Hunter, 28 for Ted McMillan, sort of
Jeez.
opens my eyes. And I like Travis Hunter. So the 22, I sort of get. I know there's a lot of excitement about him. 28 for Ted McMillan. That surprises me.
24 for Pickens, 25 for Sutton, and they all happened. Like all the big name receivers were still on the board when Ian was getting these guys. It was a joke in the room that like Ian had his full roster filled out and he had like $4 left while everyone else had like 3 players on their team. Like he was the most aggressive one in that room by far.
Yeah, I did walk in there and it just felt like it felt like Ian was building a team because he had a plane to catch.
If it was like a point per bid league, Ian won because every player Ian was in on until he had no more money.
All right. Rich Rebar, 51 for CeeDee Lamb and 49 for Drake London. So he spent $100 on his top 2 receivers. $129 if you throw in the $29 for T. Higgins. He went big on wide receiver.
Worthy for 17. Like I didn't plan on going RB heavy, but I felt like the running back values were at this point in the draft, the receivers were going for a lot more than the running backs in that range.
Did you have a particular strategy going into this one?
Get my guys. Like I was like, I want Fields, I want Travion, I want Warren, I want AJ. So ideally, I thought I was going to end up with like a $50 receiver instead of Bijan. But when I won Bijan, I had to pivot on the fly. But I was like, I really wanted Neighbors, and I was willing to go up to like high 40s for him. But once I didn't want to have $100+ spent on 2 players, So when I bought Bijan, I was waiting for AJ Brown because like I got him for $34. Look at like what the other wide receivers went for. Puka for 39, I think was a good cost, but like Ladd McConkey went for 44. Of the guys that I have ranked as wide receiver ones, everyone went for like $5 or more. I
mean, I
AJ
see
Brown.
Neighbors went for 48.
Yeah, I got AJ for $14 cheaper. So that was my strategy, was to get AJ in draft, but then it was kind of to try to find value. And I think later in the rounds, like Jennings for 9, Aiyuk for 7. I know not everyone loves Josh Palmer. I'm starting to come around to him, but I was like, I don't want all dollar players, so I wanted to be able to get guys that I think I could still plug in that are still cheap.
Yeah, trying to look at some of the other interesting bids. Values.
Interesting is Mike Gesicki going for $14. Like, what was going on there? Is there a premium?
That was definitely a like Wandell went for 11. It was a whatever money you had left, you bid it all on your final player.
That's exactly what it feels like. That feels like I got $14 left and I just need to get rid
because that's why I bought Deontay for 5. I could have got him for $1, but it was my turn to nominate. I was like, Deontay 5, and they were like, sold. Yeah, because no one's gonna go 6.
No one's gonna go 6 on Deontay Johnson for sure. Yeah, I just like the quarterback values being down kind of surprised me. The wide receiver values, I think, at some point being up. I think sort of speaks to where we are at this moment in fantasy football, where those guys are, considered a lot more valuable.
The thing I wanted was I didn't want a lot of like a bench full of dollar players. I actually don't have a single dollar player. I have a couple of $2 players, and those will be the guys I might cut. But like, I thought it was more valuable to have a bench with guys like Jaden Blue and Josh Palmer and Aiyuk, guys who could actually become starters for me, I think. Because it's a 14-team, 16-roster league. The waivers, you're not going to be able to find routine starters on the waiver.
No, that's the other part of it. 14 teams sort of changes the equation too, because you're not necessarily going to love your team.
Yeah.
At 14 teams for anything. Okay, do you have a particular auction strategy? Are you studs and scrubs? Are you a balanced? Like, do you have an approach you go to?
I've only done one draft, and it's been the work league draft, and I have been terrible at budgeting. Like, I am Mr. Blow the bag. Like, Bo Nix would have definitely went for more money. Like, 100%, I would have dropped like $30 on Bo Nix. And I even had read the room that they were cheap. It's just that I'm so excited to spend the bag and get my guy at 100%. So I do think I need to work on my strategy and be a little bit more better if I can get into more leagues that are at this format. But I'm not really a guy that's going into every season with at least one auction draft.
So it's funny because you are, and not necessarily you, but like I always like to nominate players that I don't necessarily have an interest in, but I know other people might be in on, just to see if I can dig in somebody's pockets a little bit.
Yeah,
I was doing
you
that
would have done that. I would have been
like,
a victim.
like I had Bijan, so I was throwing out CMC and Saquon, but it got to a point where I realized I had the most money, and I was like, now I'm nominating the guys I want because I want to get a chance at them while I have money.
Also, you can bully people.
Yeah, like that's what I did with AJ Brown and Warren and But I'll say this, like one of my home leagues is an auction draft. This one I was being like very cautious not to spend too much money and stuff. In my home league, it's the exact opposite. Like I'm going in looking to get as many big name players as I can because I'm gonna find guys off the waiver wire and stuff. And like in that league, like CMC would go for like $80 out of a $200 budget.
Ooh,
so people are just blowing their money fast in that. It very much so depends on who you're drafting with and the size of your league and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, always interesting to do an auction. First off, it's interesting to do an auction. It's very interesting to do an auction in a room full of people who do this consistently and who have their guys.
And hire a guy that does the speed talking.
That's
what are they called?
Yeah, the auctioneer, like an actual auctioneer, a guy who in his real day-to-day life does like cattle auctions and livestock auctions and that sort of thing. And so like, you know, when you hear it, that's really what he did. That was how he ran the auction for this fantasy draft.
So do you think he's speaking faster than his brain? Or is his brain speaking faster than what's actually
he was going
out?
at 50% speed in our room, and I still couldn't process.
So we can go faster if you wanted to.
He told me that he does stuff where like the bid will go for like $200,000, something will go, and I was like, "What number do you start with?" And he's like, "I'll start low because it's more fun for me." Like, he's like, "I'll just get to say all these numbers constantly." Like, he loves what he does, I guess. Hey,
he absolutely loves what he does, and he's great at it. I know that. You know, we had him having been in that room. He was the auctioneer for a year, and then I think for 1 year he was unavailable. And this year, like the buzz was, "Hey, Evan is back to be our auctioneer." Everybody's like, "Yeah, Evan's back!" You know, so it was a kind of if you have a chance. You know, I think there's video of him floating around.
Yeah, we actually played it on Fantasy Live today too.
Oh, cool!
So if you want to check it out on Fantasy Live or on the Fantasy Football Expo Twitter, I think put it out.
Check it out. So it's a lot of fun. All right, so there you go. That'll do it for this edition. We'll be back with you tomorrow because we're 3 times a week now. So we're back with you tomorrow where we will start to look at week 2 of the preseason, maybe kind of dive into some storylines, things we would like to see, and all that kind of stuff as we get ready for another week of preseason football games. But in the meantime, that'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy the day, everybody. We will talk to you again tomorrow.